thanks for coming, Kerry. And have you ever been on a podcast?
No, I have
Haven't
not.
been on? All right,
No.
so this will be good.
It's a long time coming.
It is. It's a
Been
long
kind
time
of
coming.
like, I don't know, jealous because I think Kelly has, and
Yeah.
Oh God.
probably even
Man-
LW. I mean,
No, LW's not
Mamaw
been.
has.
Mamaw
I mean,
has.
you
All
know,
right,
at
all
this
right.
point-
I
at this
get the
point-
point.
I mean, we lived together for how long? And
I don't even know. It's a couple years.
yeah,
How many years?
I was wanting you to tell me.
Yeah, I can't
See,
remember.
I honestly think that this is going to be interesting for all of us because of how you guys remember the past differently. Because
Yes.
I just bet you do. I bet y'all remember things differently and you have different
I'm sure
interpretations
we
of
do.
everything.
I'm sure
Well,
we do.
So this is the thing. I wanted to talk about your childhood. I wanted to ask you about your childhood, ask you about what that was like for you, and to start to set the stage. We met for the first time. I think I was around 13 years old,
Yep.
and we were at a family reunion. That's the first time we had ever met. All right, so you were how old?
Actually, you may have been younger than that because
might
I
have
was
been.
16
Okay,
because I'd gotten my well, we'll get into that story, but
you were 16.
yeah, I was
All
16.
right, so you lived 16 years before we met.
Yep.
Before you met Kelly or me.
Or you.
We met at the same day.
Exactly.
And that was at a family reunion at Mamaw's, wasn't it?
Nope.
We were at Mamaw's.
Nope. Was it?
Was that the second time we met?
Yeah.
Where were we at the first time?
At your house.
What?
On the lake.
What was going on? Nothing?
Do we need to start from the beginning so
I
we kind
guess.
of lead up to it?
Sure. I really want to know what
Well, you know, I grew up, my mom and dad separated when I was 3 years old, and she met a guy named Jack Key, and
was Dad and your mom's name is
Latane.
Latane. Were they married
they were married.
for how many years?
Probably about three and a half years.
Man, he was young. She
Yep.
was young.
Yeah, they were 18.
God,
Whoa.
Yeah,
They were 18.
yeah. So, but anyway,
No, that's great.
I mean, it's cool because, you know, I had a great life. My stepdad Jack, he came in and adopted me and
All right,
raised
wait.
me.
So Dad and Latane got divorced, and then
Nope.
no,
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
So
I
when
mean, how would she get married if they wasn't
I'm
divorced?
spelling this out for the listener. So Dad and Latane got divorced, and then how long till Jack came into the picture?
It was 2 years later.
2 years later.
Yeah, well, he kind of come in and hanging out and being friends and stuff, and then about 2 years later, they started getting serious. And then when I was 6 years old, they got married, and he adopted me, and
What was he like?
he's cool.
Yeah.
He was big into golf, loved golfing, and he had a pro shop where he built golf clubs and a driving range for you to go hit, you know, golf balls
Damn.
practicing. So it was fun times. We, done a lot of fishing and golfing. So
I didn't know he did that golfing.
yep.
I remember him as a GM for Hardee's. They moved him
Well,
around.
yeah, that was after the fact.
Yeah.
That was after his golfing days had kind of dwindled down.
Yeah.
All these big courses coming in, buying everything. So they came in and bought the driving range that we were leasing, and we had our shop there and everything, building clubs, or he did. And whenever that all happened, that's when he went to work at Hardee's, general manager at Hardee's. And
So if you look at mine and Kerry's street stock cars, they had Hardee's on the
Hardee's.
hood because we went to Jack, and Jack gave us $500
$500.
Oh, that's right.
to put Hardee's. That
Yeah.
was
that was a big sponsor.
That went a long ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Jack is a great guy. I remember Jack being super awesome. What is your earliest thought about Dad? Like, where in this whole process
Well-
are you going, who's this other guy?
Yeah. Well, I was in I was ninth grade. and-
Ninth grade?
Yeah.
Had Dad been,
Well, I knew there was something,
You knew
but
he-
I didn't know what.
you knew there was a man.
Well, I just knew that I didn't know about him. They didn't talk about Dad or
You
tell me
didn't know
anything
nothing
about
about
Dad or
Dad.
anything. Nope.
You knew nothing about Dad.
Nothing.
Wow.
Until about ninth grade, and I kind of, started asking questions about, because I couldn't find out I was adopted. They told me about all
How'd you
that.
find that out?
My mom, somebody, I don't remember who it was, but someone had brought up the fact that, Jack was her second marriage, and And
You started
I
adding
started
it up.
asking questions, and yeah,
Holy smokes.
What was
So-
your what last name were you going by?
my name was Key back then, Key.
Yep.
And so in the 9th grade, I started asking questions about where he came into my life, because I was older than what they were when they got married.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I wasn't putting all this together. So I thought, well, maybe they had me and then waited to get married.
Yeah.
And then Mama told me I was adopted, and
How'd that conversation go with her? Was she emotional or?
yeah, she was emotional. She didn't tell the whole story. She just told me there was rough times in their life, and they got married early, and things just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And then she met Jack, and they were kind of settled down and a little more mature than what Dad and Mom was back when they got married.
Mm-hmm.
And so he adopted me, and we lived our life. And then in 9th grade, like I said, I started figuring it all out through conversations, and started asking Mama about questions about my dad, who he was, and everything. And so,
How old? What year was this?
oh Lord, man,
I'm sorry, brother. That's what this podcast is about.
Yeah, we got to figure all this out. So
Yeah.
like if you were 9 years
We
old,
kinda
9
need
years
to-
old.
No, 9th grade.
We need to know
Not- I
where
wasn't 9 years
we need
old. I
to
was
know
9th
where
grade.
Dad
9th
was
grade.
in his life at this point, like who he was. When you're in the 9th grade,
Jeez.
you're probably 16.
No,
you
no,
wouldn't
no,
be
no. He's got to
14.
be about 14.
Yeah, about
13
14
or
years
14.
old.
13 or 14.
13.
And
13 to 14.
Yeah, and so
And so that'd been what,
well, what year were you born?
69.
All right. Well, anybody want to do the math at the table?
82, 83.
I mean,
so Dad just
all right.
okay. Dad,
83. There
he's
we
winning,
go.
he's winning
There you go.
championships.
Yeah, Dad won his first championship, and
and
he's
he-
a couple years into his
Yep.
cup stuff. Okay,
Yep.
so
So-
you ask her about your daddy.
Yep. Asked my dad, and she started explaining things to me, and then who he was. And it didn't hit me that who he was at the time, how successful he's becoming and everything.
You couldn't Google. You couldn't.
Nope. Back
Well, no.
then, I didn't even have a cell
Yeah,
phone.
right.
We had a dial phone on the
Still didn't know
little
anything.
rotary thing,
Yeah. Still had
So,
nothing.
No clue. And then, I played baseball and football,
Yep.
and I played baseball over in Jackson Park in the Bethpage area. And there was this lady and 3 girls that were there. I noticed they were there every game watching. So after one of the games, I don't remember how many they'd been to, but I was out there, and this lady come walking up, and she introduced herself as Martha.
Holy smokes!
And she says, "I'm your grandmother." And these are your nieces. It was Stacy, Jennifer, and maybe Ashlyn,
Your cousins.
our cousin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Holy cow!
So
That's something to throw at a guy about right before his baseball game. Ain't
Well,
it
it was after the game.
Okay,
Yeah,
still,
it was after that game.
Still, I'm your
And,
grandmother. That's how that.
Yeah, but
Were-
it was really cool, because
Were you really shy about it, or
No, I started talking. We really didn't get any conversation about Dad. We just started talking, and how she enjoyed watching me play ball, and the cousins wanted to get to know me and maybe get together and hang out some.
wow?
So we only did that at the ball games, and I don't know if my dad Jack knew all this at the time.
Okay.
I know he saw me talking to him and hanging out with them, playing and stuff, but I don't think he knew who they were for sure.
How do you think Jack felt about the curiosity that you had for learning about your dad?
Well, we kind of kept it from him for a while. So after I found out who my dad was, and me and Mama got talking more serious about it, she was good friends with Sherry Earnhardt, which is Danny
Yes.
Earnhardt's sister, Dad's brother. So we had worked it out one day where I went to their house. Me and my mom went to their house, and we called Dad, and I talked to him on the phone for the first time.
My dad.
Yep.
Your dad.
Our dad.
Our dad. You talked to him on
I
the
mean,
phone.
my dad.
I'm just
Our
trying.
dad.
I didn't know if you were talking
Our
about
dad.
Jack.
No.
So
You talked to him on
Our
the
dad.
phone for
I
the
talked to
first
our
time.
dad first time on the phone.
yeah.
And it was a
Wait a minute. So who set this up?
Sherry mom.
And you're sitting there, and you know that they're calling him
Yeah, I knew he was going to go, and I was going to get to talk to him on the phone.
for the very first
Very
time.
First time.
Wait a minute, Mike.
And actually, I've
Stop
got
it, Mike.
Yeah, we all got questions here.
Wait a minute. So, where are you? What's your feelings? Are you like
I was kind of nervous.
freaking? Yeah,
I
right.
mean,
How kind of nervous?
Yeah.
Well, I
I,
mean, I
wasn't
guess-
sure how it was going to go, the
Right.
conversation, what we was going to talk about, or anything like
So
that.
what did he say?
So when I called, he said, "Hello." I said, "Hey, this is Kerry." He said, "Hey, son." I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And we just got the conversation. I don't remember the whole conversation,
Right.
but
How was
you know,
he?
we talked about how we missed,
Yeah.
growing up, and times he missed me growing up, and I missed, being with him, and that maybe
Oh
we could
my
work that
gosh.
out someday.
My
And,
gosh.
So
What did you?
after the conversation, I mean, after that phone call, I was kind of just relieved.
Yeah.
I got to talk to my dad, and I knew who he was now.
Was he? Did he seem sincere? And
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
'Cause he can be kind of awkward. and
Dad,
he doesn't know how to do it.
He was kind of just easy
He doesn't-
talking,
Yeah.
and he would. I mean, at that
doesn't know-
time, I didn't realize. I
I
don't
know
know
you
what's
don't know
like
him. Know him.
bad or
You didn't
good,
know what
Tom.
to expect.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't have a basis
So,
to.
but
You couldn't
so-
grade him.
So after that conversation,
So wild.
kind of, sat back and thought about what would be my next step.
Yeah.
So I talked to Mamaw at some of the games, and about coming to see her and everything. Well,
When you have a conversation with him, right, and you're talking about having these, thinking about these next steps. Like, are you hardly able to be patient? Like, I would, if I were in your shoes, I would literally be thinking about this every second of the day.
and I did, but I knew I had obstacles to go through with my mom and Jack.
Ah, yeah.
So,
What are obstacles?
well,
Feelings?
it wasn't talked about in our household. Jack wasn't for me visiting with him
Okay.
or being in his life, and that's why I was out of it so long.
Was Jack? Why do you think Jack felt that way? Was he upset with Dad because?
I don't know. I don't know if because Dad was starting his racing career when I was young, and he was all the time on the road and gone, and just
Right.
family time wasn't an option then.
Jack-
He was out building his career, and not saying that he didn't
I know-
want to be with me or around me. He just was building his career, and sometimes whenever you have something to chase like that, you kind of forget things
Yeah.
back at home.
But I was wondering though, Jack. I know, remembering Jack like I do, I can't see him being jealous. I can see him more like,
Well, I think he was more about me getting hurt.
yeah,
You
like
know,
who's
didn't
it?
want-
Like how? Why now?
Right,
Like what?
right.
What's this
Where you
guy's?
been and why
What's this
now?
guy's intentions? Right.
So, yeah, I felt that. He never did say that, but I felt that's what it was. So, after that conversation on the phone, like I said, at the ball games, I was talking to my mom and my cousins and talking about, getting us come over and visit sometime. And, I kind of talked to Mom a little bit about it, and she said, it ain't going to happen, because Jack, he wouldn't be all for that. So I talked to Mama and told her, it was going, on time we get to see each other at ball games until I get my license. So when I got my license, I could do what I want. And I promised her whenever I got my license, I would come over and see her. And if there's by chance that Dad was in the shop, which is right behind her house,
Yes.
I might go see him and visit him for the first time.
Golly. So wait a minute. 3 years? The
Yep.
first time you talked to him,
Yep.
and you still didn't see him
Still didn't see him
for 3 years.
for 3 years. I did get Christmas gifts.
Didn't you get pissed?
What?
I got Christmas gifts.
At what point though are you like, what the?
Yeah.
Sorry. At what point are you like? At what point are you
Well-
running out of patience? None.
I was kind of,
You were
I
too
took
nice.
it easy.
You were
know,
too
I,
nice.
I was kind of being easy with it. And
You didn't want to run it off.
I just didn't want to stir things up where it could never happen.
Right. You were
You know?
worried about running it off.
Yeah.
Ruining it.
Ruin it.
Who introduced the idea of arranging a meeting? Was it Dale or was it you? Or is it like Mama and
Well,
and
I
the
never
others?
arranged it with Dad. I just, we just talked about one day maybe we could get back together and just visit some, and it just nothing happened from that.
But that was
and after
something-
that phone call, I never talked to him again.
After that,
one phone call.
Oh my gosh.
Like I said, I did get Christmas gifts from him every Christmas, and then
Oh my gosh,
So-
man. I can't believe this.
during that time, I was, talking to Mom about it, and it just wasn't going to happen. I knew that she wasn't going to do it. And so the day I got my license, we went and got my license. I had a 72 Chevelle. And we got back home, and I told Mom I was going to go just cruise around and, just have fun driving by myself. So first place I went was Mama's.
Yeah.
And I come in the back way, and, where you park in front of the house and you still can't be seen by the shop.
Yeah.
And I walked into the front door, and it was easy with Mama. I mean, I walked right in. We're hanging out, talking, and our conversations were about, what I did in growing up, my hobbies and things I enjoyed, and then we talked about, I talked to her about going out to see Dad.
Was he out there?
Yep, he was out there. Well, I asked at first. I guess I asked if she was out there, and she said, "Yeah, he's out there."
How long did you talk to Mamaw before you went out there?
It took me about 2 hours.
Whoa! What?
Yeah, about 2 hours.
He's out there just working in the shop.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And Dad, he could leave any minute.
Yeah.
You know how he does, just jump
God
in the vehicle and take
almighty.
off. But finally, I built the courage up and walked out the back door. And the back door comes down, and you're right there at the garage. So I walked in the garage, and it was everybody laughing and clanging tools and stuff.
Yeah.
But when I opened that door, it got quiet.
Yeah, I bet.
And I remember Tony Sr. was sitting there on one of the suspensions of one of the cars, and Dad was under the hood, and he just raised up when I opened the door, and Tony turned around. And that's when things got quiet.
Yeah.
And Dad's like, "Hey, son." I said, "Hey, Dad, how you doing?" He said, "Good." So we sat there and talked a little bit, and he says, "Come on, let's go riding." So we rode around town a little bit, just talking about things, and he mentioned about me coming to the house and visiting and getting to meet you and Kelly. And I'm like, heck yeah, we'll do that. So, we set the date, and I can't remember the day or anything, but I came there.
Was it shortly after that, or
It was shortly after that. Yeah, it was like that following week.
Let me ask you a question. So you have this, you've met him, right? And when you're sitting in that truck riding around with him, is it like surreal?
Yeah.
What's that
Yeah,
feel like?
It was just like, it's like we hadn't been apart.
There was a connection?
It was relaxed.
It was a magical.
I just had to be a connection because, I wasn't nervous after that or anything. After I walked in that shop and saw him, I was just kind of just relaxed after that.
You go back to the shop. Did you go say bye to Mamaw?
Yep, went back and said bye to everybody, and
What did you tell Mamaw?
I told her it was really cool that we got to spend time together and got to talk.
What was the conversation, though? Not with Mamaw, with your dad.
It was just about, things we did in life, and then he explained, his life growing up and why he left and, chasing his dream. And he regretted every minute of it, but knew that Jack had a fence to us talking or meeting, so he didn't interfere with that. He respected Jack for that. So we got done riding and everything, and we had that date set up. So
wait, sorry. I know. Well, we got all day. So
all right.
You get in your car, right, and you drive home.
Yep.
Did you? What? How do you?
Man, I was pumped. I was excited.
I know, but what did you do when you got home? How'd your mom not figure it out?
Well, Jack was at work, so I walk in and I went to Mom. I said, "Mom," I said, "I got to talk to you." She said, "What's that?" I said, "I told you I was going to go riding around, just cruise around, get the feel of driving
told her?
myself." But I did go to Mamaw's. And she said, "Did what?" I said, "I went to Mamaw's and visit Mamaw for a while." And I said, and Dad was back there in the shop, and I went and saw him.
What'd she say?
And she just started crying. She said, "Well, what is it like? Was everything good?" And, we went through everything. I told her about all of it, and she was relieved that things went as calm and easy as it did.
What'd she think was going to happen?
Well, she didn't know.
Yeah.
You think about it, times as we had apart from 3 years old to 16 years old. So you don't see each other, just talk to each other one time on the phone. You never know what's going to happen. I didn't know if I would be accepted or rejected.
Yeah.
I felt I would be accepted because when we talked on the phone, he told me he wanted to see me and stuff. So
yeah, I guess when you're walking when you're walking out that door of Memaw's house and walking toward that shop door, there's that moment. Are you thinking about that in that moment?
Yep.
Of like, man, this is going one way or the other.
It's going to happen. We'll figure out what's going to go from here. So
damn. All right.
So I pull up in the driveway, and you're out in the front yard playing with a couple guys in football.
Yeah.
And Kelly wasn't out there. It was just you and a couple kids.
Ryan and Nick Stutz probably.
I don't know.
No, it was.
But
It was
I
only
walked
two
up
on the street.
and knocked on the door, and it wasn't Dad that answered. It was someone else. And I said, "Hello?" She says, "Hey," slammed the door.
Said, "Hey," and slammed the door.
Yep. And then Dad, I heard hm inside, a little loud, and he come to the door, and hey, son, so sorry about that. So she wasn't expecting you and didn't know what was going on. So
Yeah.
Well, who was that?
Teresa.
it's Teresa.
Why are you having a hard time saying it?
Well, I mean, everybody knows who it is. And
It could have been like a housekeeper or something, but
Could've been Kelly.
I could.
I
Teresa.
doubt Kelly would have slammed the door like that. And I don't know that a housekeeper would either.
Yeah.
I know. I just needed to hear the name. All right.
All right, it was Teresa.
All right. So okay, keep going.
So anyway, Dad comes to the door and says, sorry about that. So he wasn't expecting you and everything. So come on in. So I walked in, and we went down in the basement and sat and hung out and talked for
On the orange
a
couch.
good while.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pool table in there.
Yeah.
So we talked for a good while.
You did. Was that Comet machine there yet? Probably.
I don't.
He had that over in the corner
Yeah,
with
I
a
believe it
barber's
was.
chair.
I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yep. That's cool.
One like it. That's not it.
All right, Mike, I see this coming.
No. Do you know anything about Kerry at this point? Like you have no idea you have a brother.
Well, no. I've heard that we had a brother, but didn't know what that meant, right? So my first memory of meeting him wasn't at this house. It was at Mamaw's at a family reunion,
Yep.
and we'll talk about that later. But
And
so-
I expect he didn't think much about it because he's out there playing football, and I wouldn't expect him to be watching for me.
I didn't know he was coming. I didn't
Right.
know.
And you had a route to run and a touchdown
Yeah.
to score. So like, you got your priorities.
Him in football, how they are.
Oh,
So,
my goodness.
but we sit there and talk for a long time, and I didn't actually talk to you or Kelly at that time. We had talked about doing some stuff, and just kind of building slowly our family, and meeting each other again. And then, like you said, the reason you don't remember that is because the first time we actually met was at the family reunion.
Wow.
And actually introduced each other and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You and Kelly both.
So I remember at the family reunion, you came there, and I was positive. I was in a positive. I was excited about it, but Kelly hogged Kerry.
Yep.
Him and Kelly, she got it. Like
We bonded. We bonded right
Yeah.
out because she was a little older and closer to my age. And
Yep. She knew exactly what this meant, right? The Kerry coming into our lives. Kelly knew exactly what that meant and entailed, and she latched on to him. And they just sat. I remember y'all sitting in that middle room in Memo's house, hours, a whole damn
just
day,
talking.
Yeah, just them two.
Laughing.
There's
just
30
talking.
There's 30 people at this family reunion, and them two sit there the whole time, just figuring it out.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I wish I had that our conversation, everything on camera, or
Yeah.
video, or audio, or something, just to go back and listen to it. Because I don't remember everything that we talked about. I just remember, talking about what I did growing up. Just kind of filling each other in on what our likes were and our hobbies.
Yeah.
Hey, you might have said this already, Kerry, and I apologize if I'm asking again, but I don't remember. So Dale didn't know anything about you the time you went over to your dad's house, right?
Right.
When did you know that you had a brother and a sister? Like
that first time I went to the house,
So
when
you
we was
did
in the
not know.
basement.
You didn't know that there was a Dale Earnhardt Jr. or a Kelly Earnhardt at all.
Well, I knew they were some kids, but I didn't know their
Any-
names or anything. I just
Okay.
knew there were some other kids involved.
And that was the day.
And that was the day he told me about them. And of course, the pictures are in the house and everything, so you see all that. And so he explained everything and didn't want to, I guess, introduce us at that time to kind of stir things up. Kind of like say he wanted to slowly grow into it. And I don't know what that meant or anything.
sure.
And I don't think he was worried about that person that answered the door getting along with it, but I think he was more worried about you and Kelly,
Yeah.
how y'all were going to deal with things and
Yeah.
accept things.
We were pumped. I remember being excited because the vibe in that house wasn't all that fun, and so the idea of like, man, what does this mean? What could this mean? Introducing this new person into the whole dynamic
Right.
could make things better. Could
What's
make
going to
things-
change? How's it going to affect?
You
things?
saw how
And-
Kelly
Right.
didn't want to do nothing but talk to you that
Yep.
whole day because she was just thinking, man, this is got to make things better.
Right.
And so, anyways, let's fill in the gap from that moment at the family reunion where we all first got introduced to me and you basically living together, being pals and
Getting in
buddies.
fights and-
I don't remember any
all
fights.
all that arguments. I don't want to say fights. Arguments.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna fight you.
Something about drums in the middle of the day at night.
I
you know,
remember
like 1 or 2 in the morning.
phone bills being $450 a week and stuff like that. But we'll get to that in a minute. But so after the family reunion, what is your? I don't remember what happened next. Like how much more did you get to see Dad?
Well, I just started coming around to the race shop, and hanging out and getting to be around the guys and knowing them, and y'all would be there in and out there some, and I didn't come and hang out at the house like you would think after that.
At the lake house.
So it was actually after that visit at the house, it was that Christmas, Father Christmas, whenever I was invited back to the house. He asked if I would come and stay tonight. And I don't know if you remember that or not. And I did, and it was really cool to wake up and celebrate Christmas with you all.
You spent the night on Christmas Eve.
Yes. We were downstairs in the hall in that basement.
Was I down there?
Yeah, your room was down there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think Kelly was down there, and there was another room down there, and I stayed in it. And we got up and done Christmas that morning. I can't believe you don't remember this. Of course, yeah, you were younger. But that's the only time I've done Christmas as far as like staying the night and getting up the next morning. Yeah. So then after that, everything just kind of rolled and flowed right along after that. And, we got to talk and hang out and do stuff. And then I ended up getting, let me think about this. I ended up getting married at 18, had a kid, Bobby.
Yep.
And then 2 years later at 19, had another kid, Jeffrey. And I don't know if you remember them,
yes,
growing up or anything.
Oh, yeah.
But then I separated from my wife, left her after Jeffrey was born. It was because it was like Dad and my mom. We were too young. We just didn't gel after a few years. Things just wasn't right for us. It wasn't a good household. So I chose to end our marriage and, give our boys the best life we could give. Because together it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Arguing and fighting and bickering all the time, and things that she had going in her life that didn't fit for her family life too. So we did that, and then Dad talked to, I can't remember if he just talked to me or if he talked to us together about us moving in together. At this point I was 21. Mm-hmm. So we talked about it, and he had that double wide across the road from the race shop over on Highway 3. And so we moved into there. I don't remember if you remember all this, but us moving in together and getting to hang out. And we had that little console TV, the old style console TV, had the antennas, that had the rotary dial twist and the antenna would turn.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a good time. We did a lot of stuff together. And, of course, living together, you're always going to argue or fight or anything over food or, the mess we leave laying around or whatever. And then I remember you got your set of drums, and I was working at the dealership, and I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to work at the dealership, get started because I worked in the service department, and I was a service advisor and took customers in as they come in. So I'd get there early to get the ones dropped off already checked in. So when the people come in to get their car serviced or whatever, I was already called up to take care of them. So like 1 or 2 in the morning, I start hearing all these boom, 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 boom. Like, hell.
In a double wide.
In a double wide.
Jeez, how obnoxious.
I mean,
is
I
that?
remember seeing these come in, and I thought, man, it's cool. He's young. He's going to enjoy this stuff and everything. But I wasn't thinking at 2 o'clock in the morning.
What the hell was I
and
doing?
I was like, got up, man, damn, dude, I got to go to work. What the hell you doing? He said, man, I'm playing drums. I said, not now. I said, do it earlier or something. I don't know. You was out running around with your buddies or what before that. You went home early to be playing drums. You had to wait till 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. And that went on. But he didn't listen. He didn't care. He kept playing them every night. And I was like, screw it. So finally, I just got used to it and just slept through it.
This is a roommate from hell.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, find me one worse. Come on. I mean, I bet you can't. Somebody that plays drums at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And, like I said, I was 21, so I kind of understood that he was young and enjoying life. I've got 2 boys, and I've got to grow up and support and have a family life with my boys. And I don't remember if you remember, like I would get them on weekends. Heck, you and the kids would be out in the yard playing, and I'm sitting there, well, hey,
Oh, really?
because he was younger than me, and they gravitated toward him. So they were out playing football and stuff in the front yard, playing around, and we had a lot of good times.
Yeah. We raced the street stock. So we were over one day, me and Kerry were standing over in the Deerhead shop at the picnic table, and Dad threw down a piece of newspaper from Charlotte Observer. They were starting up a street stock series at Concord. Dad said, "You ought to get involved in this. Here's a way for you guys to start racing." You wanted to race. I wanted to race. Neither one of us were doing any.
I'd never done any racing.
Yeah.
I think you did some kart stuff.
I did some karts at 12 years old, like 10 races total. Nothing else. So you had a friend. What was your buddy's name on that junkyard?
Oh, gosh.
Smitty?
No, on the junkyard was Wayne's Automotive, Doug Wayne. Smitty was the guy. He was like a backyard mechanic.
I thought he had a junkyard.
Nope.
Oh, okay. I got that.
He was
story wrong.
he built hot rods, and he knew about tuning engines.
He had a
getting
little
some
pickup
power.
truck, and he had a little small toolbox in the back, and he slung that toolbox all over the back of that truck. I don't know how in the hell the damn drawers even opened up on that thing. But anyhow, I remember him being one of the guys we was running around with.
He would be at the racetrack with us tuning on the cars, helping us work on them and stuff. But
we got us a car.
You remember we went to Wayne's Automotive and had this Monte Carlo. Was a 78? Yep. So we brought it back, and Dad's like, walks out and looks at it. Man, this is really nice. So just don't mess with it while I'm gone. He would go back at the shop, on the farm. Him and somebody, I can't remember who it was with him. And we were looking at each other, and it's like, man, Dad ain't going to let us build anything out of this car because he's, got all the windows and lights, everything was, it's complete, wasn't no dents or anything. It's a nice car.
Right out of the junkyard.
And I don't even know why it was in the junkyard because it had that 305 engine in it, and it ran because that's what we started out racing with, that 305.
Yeah.
So I think we got worried about him not letting us race it, so we started like stripping things off of it and maybe busting the windows out. I can't remember what all we did, but I remember we started working on it so he couldn't like take it from us and keep it.
This is so asinine thinking right here, but
well, I mean, it was just fun.
Well, okay, so keep going. I interrupted you.
So he come back up there and he's like, "What the heck, man?" So we want to race, and we was afraid you were gonna keep the car and not let us race it. He goes, "No," he said, "I was wanting to do some of this with you." He said, "I want to help y'all work on this car." And we're like, "Well, dang, we still got a lot to do,
Yeah.
So we actually pulled it in the shop and cleaned everything up. And I remember we cut the roof off to put the roll cage in.
Yeah.
And started from there.
You remember when he put the roll cage in it for us, so he cut he wanted to make sure it was welded to the frame real good and it was safe, so he puts the roll cage in it. Me and you had gutted the doors. We had the doors ready to weld back on, and he put the roof back on it and tacked it on there. I come home from school or come home from somewhere, and he is tacking the doors on, and the roll cage was so wide that we couldn't get the bottom tacked.
Wouldn't go in.
The bottom wasn't tacked.
Yeah.
The bottom wasn't sealed. And I threw a fit. I was like, "Damn, Daddy, you put this roll cage in here too big, too wide.
Messed it up.
And he was hot
Yep.
because I had complained because he's like, "I've been messing with this car all damn day fixing this thing. You got to complain about that?" I'm like, "Yeah, the door don't shut. It don't shut."
We ain't got we just got an opening in the bottom.
We had to make a patch or something, didn't we?
Yeah, we
made
took some metal and made strips and tacked it on down at the bottom.
Your
I was
delivery,
pissed.
Yeah.
your delivery was off, but you did have a point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it.
I mean,
big old
seriously.
gap down there.
Yeah.
You're gonna have all that junk flying
He
up
was
in there
mad.
on
He's
you.
like, he thought I was ungrateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have, but you still had a point.
I was mad as hell.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of good times. We raced that thing, beat the shit out of it.
How did y'all decide who drives?
I drove first, I don't remember why. I think I drove the first 2 or 3 races
know
before
if-
Dale would drive.
I don't know if I had my driver's license, and at that time you couldn't.
I think that's what it was.
You couldn't race unless you had a.
Yeah.
You couldn't race in the series unless you had a
You
real
had
driver's
your
license.
license.
Like they don't let them run 12-year-olds and stuff like that
Right.
run. So
Well, it was actually the first 3 races I ran, and then you ran the 4th one.
you
and-
got to where when you had your kids, I think I raced.
That's what it was.
And when
Weekends I
you-
had my kids.
every
you
other
raced.
weekend.
Yeah,
So when you had your boys, I'd drive it, and when you didn't have your boys, I think you drove.
we
it,
alternated.
one way or
yeah.
another. And then we
So-
eventually built a second car, but.
Yeah.
So that's how we got started racing. Far as I remember, we used to have we used to burn the bearings.
Oh, yeah. We was always going through bearings.
We couldn't figure out how to keep the bearings in the right front wheel.
Yeah.
We'd smoke
Just
them out
Smoke them out. It was
every race.
every weekend. We had
We run about
changed
halfway
bearings.
through the race and slow down.
Yep.
I'd see that damn thing start slowing
Slow down.
down.
Yep.
Come in the pits. I'm
Happened
like, what's
again.
going on? Bearings there, bearings.
Right
are
front
burning."
wheels vibrating like.
Yeah, about to come off.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was,
What were y'all doing? What did you find out?
we were using stock
Just
stuff.
stock stuff.
Stock stuff. We probably
yeah.
needed something beefier up there, and we just didn't
Yeah.
know any better.
Did you guys ever win?
Nope.
Nope.
Come close?
Coolest burnout show maybe when we spun out.
We came across.
Burning out and getting back around.
Yeah,
Maybe that.
we ran in the top 5 a
We,
couple times.
yeah, we had some
It's fun.
decent runs, but
we
never,
didn't cheat enough.
No, I think that's what it was because I remember them guys. They
were
had
doing
some
all kinds of
tricked
stuff.
out stuff.
Yeah.
They had them. I don't remember what model
I
Camaros
never-
they had the unibodies on them,
Yeah.
and
I never cheated enough.
yeah,
That was my problem.
yeah.
So when we was talking about sponsors, so me and Kerry went to Jack. By this point, Jack is A-OK with everything going on.
He's kind of mellowed out. So we went to him and talked to him about getting a sponsorship. He's like, well, let me see what I could do. He worked it out. I can't remember how long it was. He came back to us and said, I got y'all $500, and you can come by and get chicken because they done the box of chickens back then. So you come by and get chickens before you go to the racetrack. You get a box of chicken to take with you. So we did that every week.
And so we had $500 all with Hardee's on the hood. We got $100,
We had
I think, a week from Sports Image.
Sports Image
Sports
on the
Image.
quarters.
Yep. And then we got free parts out of the junkyard from Doug Wayne's,
Wayne.
put that on the
Yep.
back. There was a little gas station that gave us $80 to put their name on the back of the car, too. And remember, we went and spent $80 on candy. And
It was good candy though. I mean,
And
think
we-
with $80 what you could buy.
And Kerry came to the house and spent the night in the basement with me, and we ate candy all
Yep.
night, watched TV.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time that me and you really
We hung out.
Yeah. We sit there and watch TV and ate candy all night and made our belly hurt. And then I remember when we were racing the street stock. So the street stock car, if you won, I think you got $200.
Yeah, it's 200.
But we weren't winning. We were running 5th or 10th or so and crashing every other week.
I think we might have got $100 one time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, it was we felt like it was really unfair because pit pass was $20 whether you race street stocks or late model stocks, right?
Yep.
$20.
We were lower class, so we ought to be
we-
cheaper.
yeah, our pit
Yeah.
pass ought to be cheaper. So we had a box trailer, and we'd pull over about a mile from the track, and one of us would get out of the truck and climb in that box trailer
Box, yeah.
and sneak in.
It was one of them trailers, it was open in the back, but had a little box in the front that had a tire rack on top. So the little box was probably 3 foot wide, maybe.
Yeah.
And, the length of the whole width of the trailer. And so it was alternating. One weekend I'd be in the box, and then one weekend he'd be in the box.
How long would you be in?
Just for the mile.
I mean, we just stopped down
Just
the
for a
road.
few minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just stopped down the road and jump out and jump in the box and take off.
About right before you get to the track, you climb in one of you climb in the box, and then the other one would drive the truck in,
Yep.
go get his pass, pull on in through the tunnel into the track, and park in the spot. When you parked in the spot, you got out of the truck, walked to the box, open it up. The person in there start handing
Start
you
handing
stuff.
tools out.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it looked like he's just helping you unload the truck.
Yep.
Nobody ever seen anything. Right?
And we never got caught.
Never.
I mean, it was pretty cool. And we ended up having, I think sometimes we had 2 people in that box.
Really?
Yeah.
Try to push our luck.
Because we just, I think we had 3 or 4 people down there helping us on the car.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Who would those people be?
Smitty was one.
Walter Balls.
Walter, yeah, he was down there. I think Uncle Danny came some.
Maybe.
I think he came down and helped some too.
When Tony Jr. started racing his late model, Senior and Tony Jr.
Yep.
would be around.
They'd be
They'd be
around.
next to us if we
Yep.
needed any serious help.
Yep.
That's funny.
And so, after those years, we ended up going into. I actually went in the street
Dash.
Goody's Dash car, and you went to late model.
Mm-hmm. I remember going up to your shop when you were preparing for
Taylorsville.
Daytona and Taylorsville.
Yep.
Going up to the shop because by this time, me and him are hanging out a lot
Yeah,
every day.
We've kind of gotten real close.
We're riding. We're right. You go in the shop. I'll go with you. And so we're hanging out every day. I don't know if we're living together at that point because I was 16. I wasn't quite out of the house
I don't
yet.
think we were. No, we weren't living together
No.
then.
I moved in. We moved into the double wide. I think as soon as I graduated high school.
Yeah, it was right after your graduation.
Well, how did this street stock though end? Is it with that big crash?
No,
Didn't y'all wad it up?
No, Kelly drove our
Yep.
first street stock the next year.
The '78 Monte Carlo.
Yep, and then I sold my car that we built to Hank Parker Jr.
Hank Parker Jr. Yep.
There was no big crash.
Yours was '81.
I'm getting something confused then.
I think yours was '81.
81. Yeah,
Yeah.
Malibu.
Malibu.
Yeah.
You're saying your first the Hardee's 08 car.
Yep.
Yes.
Y'all never wrecked that?
Oh God,
bunch.
yes, we wrecked.
But like destroyed.
No.
Wrecked. Okay.
So Kelly ended up driving it for about 10 races
Yep.
in the next year, and then
Okay.
it sits.
It's set.
It sits over at DEI right
Mm-hmm.
now, out behind the farm.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, it's still there.
I know why I'm thinking this. Just last week, I was at your house and we were going through pictures, and you showed me a picture of that car, and it was
Oh, it
wrecked.
looked destroyed. Yeah,
yeah.
it looked destroyed.
And I
but
just assumed that
you
it
could-
was
you
that
could
was
still
the end.
race it, though.
I got
It was in racing condition.
Yeah.
you. Even then in that picture.
I mean, it didn't have to be pretty like
No.
every week these days.
I
You know,
We weren't cheaters, nor were we fabricators.
we could beat some stuff out though.
I remember we built so the 305 motor that was in the 78 Monte Carlo. I remember rebuilding that motor in the shop
Yep.
at Dad's Deerhead shop, and then we took it to the first race.
Yep.
And the motor started missing and messing up. You drove it to the pits, up onto the trailer. We took the car home, pulled the motor out, and the cam was broke. Cam was in 3 pieces.
Yep.
And everybody thought that was amazing that it was still running, and Kerry
We
drove it
up on the trailer.
that's
I
violent
still
there.
tell that story today. I'm like, yeah, we rebuilt that motor because people think we probably got us a
Right, yeah.
$2,000 motor.
Right.
Somebody built us something cool, but we rebuilt that old junk 305. Probably had the smallest motor in the field
Yep.
and blew it up in the first
Just
race.
blew it up.
Okay, so that reminds me, because you have said in the past, Dale, that you knew nothing when it came to cars or anything automotive. That's where you sort of learned. Did you bring any
Yeah.
any automotive knowledge to
Well,
this?
I knew how to like work on the engines and stuff.
So you did?
transmissions.
Okay.
Because I had a couple street rides. My first car was a '65 Impala with the 396 Hurst 4-speed transmission in it.
All right.
So I had to rewire that one year because the wiring harness burned up in it. So I rewired that, put all new wiring in it, and then I had the 72 Chevelle and a 70 Chevelle. I always also worked on.
Do you still wish you had that
Street race deal.
Chevelle?
I wish I had that Impala.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I wish I had that '65 Impala.
Yeah.
That was something my uncle, my mom's brother, bought brand new off the showroom floor and kept it in the family until I got it. And after I got the wiring harness all done back, I had this guy come by and offer trade it even, the 72 Chevelle even for the Impala. So I called my uncle and said, hey, man, so I got an opportunity to have a Chevelle that is ready to drive on the street. I said, this Impala needs a little work. I said, you want it back? He said, nope, do whatever you want with it. So I traded the guy even. And I don't think my uncle talked to me. I think it was like 6 months before he talked to me
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
And I understand now why.
Yeah.
Back then, I didn't care. I was wanting something to drive and,
Yeah.
run, chase girls and race up and down the streets. So
So-
it was an opportunity that I take and go there.
We want to take a moment to talk about a true kitchen staple and partner of Junior Motorsports for 16 consecutive years, Hellmann's Mayonnaise, the #1 selling mayonnaise brand. For over 100 years, Hellmann's has been creating mayonnaise that's not just creamy and smooth, but it's made with real high-quality ingredients. It's that commitment to quality that makes Hellmann's stand out. Whether you're using it to make buffalo chicken dip for a game day tailgate or you're spreading it on your holiday turkey, Hellmann's always delivers that perfect velvet texture and rich, balanced flavor. Whether it's an appetizer, entree, or dessert, you can find recipes for game day or the holidays at Hellman's.com. Hellman's is the secret ingredient that makes every meal feel a little more special. So the next time you're in the store, grab yourself a jar of Hellman's mayonnaise and taste the difference that real quality ingredients make. So we moved in together to Double Wide. We raced street stocks a little bit. You went and ran your dash car for a year. I started running a late model with Hargett, and then we moved in together. When the sometime right in the end of that.
Well, I think it was 92 when I ran the Goodies dash car.
Yeah.
And then 93 we started late models.
And we was living together then.
Yep. And
So we had a double wide trailer. I played the drums late at night.
Yeah, I did that.
Around 1994, Papyrus came out with their first online racing game. All right, Mike? The iRacing team that you know now, they built their first game in around 94. They came out with it. You could race online, but you had to call Massachusetts. All right, with a modem, right? Like 14400 or 2800 or whatever it is. 20. You remember that? Wasn't it?
No.
Anyways,
I'm just taking your word for it.
There were a couple. There were a couple different modems, right? So it does all the squelching and squealing and carrying on when it cranks up. So I started doing that. Me and Kerry split the bills in half. We didn't ask questions.
Right.
When it came in, it was $80.
Split.
I got 40. He's got 40. If it was $69, whatever, right? We split it. So this, I started racing on the internet, and I'm calling Massachusetts, and I know I'm calling long distance.
This
and
is
I'm
long
on
distance
there,
calls.
long distance.
Long distance call to Massachusetts that would last from probably 6 o'clock at night to 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Sometimes Kerry, started working at a dealership. So Kerry would get up in the morning to go to work, and I'd still be racing.
Yeah.
If he picked the phone up, if he just picked the phone
cut
up,
him.
it cut me off. But anyhow,
That's funny.
Yep.
yeah. And so the first month phone bill came, and it was
God.
Our phone bill was like $20 or something silly, and our first bill was $420 or something. Oh God Almighty! Kerry come in there and threw that
hot.
damn thing down.
And when we pay half, I mean, that was our agreement. So,
You stuck to that? You still were going to stick it for half?
yeah,
oh yeah,
Oh my
I mean,
God!
we're just learning about bills and stuff. We didn't know about that stuff back then. We just learning. But I knew whenever it jumped that high, I was like, I didn't have nothing to do with this. How am I responsible?
How did we
You're
work-
not.
How did we work that out?
I don't remember. We ended up getting it worked out.
Yeah.
I remember. Maybe I don't remember.
And I think a couple more $400
Yeah.
bills came.
A couple more bills come in, and I was like, "Yeah, this is done." And I think I didn't pay one time.
Yeah.
And I had met this gal from Virginia, and had her coming down that weekend. And I don't know if you remember this or not, but she gets there. We go to the house and walk up. Key go in, won't turn. Could not open the door, wouldn't unlock it. Somebody had changed the lock or the doorknob. You don't remember that? And I ended up pulling the chain to my truck and pulling the back door off. You don't remember that?
No.
I can't. No.
Uh-uh.
And it wouldn't shut back
Was I
after
still
that.
there?
Yeah, you were still there.
Was I
you
in the
changed,
house?
I think you changed the lock.
Was I in the house?
No, you wasn't in the house because I went through. Your truck was there. You had
Oh.
that little S10 truck, and it was sitting in the driveway. And I went through that house. His bedroom door was locked for a minute, maybe, by the time I kicked it in. And he wasn't in his room. He done gone. I guess he's out riding with a buddy or something. Because I'm sure he knew if he changed that lock, I was going to be mad when I got home. And it was more embarrassing that I had this girl down for the first time that I can't get on my
in his
damn house. Oh, my God. So
You chained it.
Dad, I remember Dad coming over there, and we had that thing propped it. I can't remember how we had it shut.
The back door,
The
yeah.
back door. And Dad come over there and raise and
We like
cane about this door not being, shut and how it got broke.
so we were little shits to each other, but the next day it was
we
not
were,
a big deal.
we were no big deal.
I know, but why did you change the lock?
I don't know.
Probably because I didn't pay the bill.
Probably didn't help me pay half of the phone bill.
But it's his bill.
I'm just guessing that's why. There could be a million things.
I remember it was a bill involved, and I'm pretty sure it was the power bill, the phone bill. It was something that I didn't pay, and he said, "Yeah, you ain't gonna pay it. You ain't getting in." I showed him.
You were some roommate.
I got in.
You were some roommate, dude. I'm telling
He
you.
ain't a damn angel.
I mean,
Well, what did
I do? I got up and went to work.
Right. He had 2 kids.
What did I do?
I don't know. You probably did something.
You got nothing.
I mean, hell, I brought the girl in to wash our clothes and fold our clothes for us. You don't remember that? That's what I did for you. I mean, how devil could that be? That's angel, man.
Yeah.
That's Angel.
I was good.
I had, yeah. Okay.
We always had food in the cabinets.
We did.
So
Where were you
I don't
making
know
money?
that anything I did
I worked at dealership.
like against you or anything.
You didn't. You didn't do anything.
I'm trying to think if I
Oh,
did.
y'all both worked at the dealership at the same time?
Yeah, well, I
Eventually.
did. He supposed to.
Well, didn't he get fired?
I'd get there.
Well, no.
Go ahead.
Well, he would always come in about noon.
Horse.
It was.
I would be
It was
15
about
minutes
lunch.
late.
No.
15, 20 minutes late.
Man, by the time you get off that computer, you were not driving up there to
There were
bed.
1 or 2 days maybe I came in that late, but not like I wasn't doing that every day. Dude, they would have fired the hell out of me.
Well, they tried.
And they did.
I remember that
Keep
day
going.
he come in to work, and old Bill Kitchings was the service manager, and Junior comes walking in, and Bill says, Dale, come here, I need to talk to you. He come in there and talk to him, and I don't remember what y'all's discussion was, but I remember saying, hey, Bill, come over here, let me show you something. And he grabs him, arm around the shoulder, and walks out. He says, see that sign right there? He says, yep, that's about 2 letters from getting your ass fired. Remember that? And I think that's
Yeah.
when he was firing you.
He was fired.
It
Yeah.
was. Yeah, that's a good story, actually, because you told him.
2 letters.
And then you drove all the way back, right? Now, you tell the story.
So we had who was our line mechanic? What was his name?
Oh, was that Brian? You talking
No.
about Brian or oh crap.
He used to date Bobby's daughter. Remember Bobby Festerman? Didn't he date Bobby's daughter? Married to her. I don't remember. He was the lineman.
Tony Reed.
Yes.
Tony Reed. He was the front end lineman
Wasn't
and
he
all
dating her?
suspension guys.
Or
Yeah,
married
they were
to her?
married.
Married.
Yeah,
right.
they were
So,
married.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Anyways, so there was this guy that we hired had been an employee at the Chevrolet dealer. He had been an employee there before and went away.
Yep.
And he was coming back to be the service manager. Kerry was a writer, and my desk was right next to Kerry. My bay was
Your
right next
bay.
to Kerry's where I worked and changed oil. I was a quick lube guy. So this new guy, Jimmy Kitchens, new service manager, is coming in. He's going to turn this place around, right? It'd been a functioning shop, doing just fine. Could have been better, but he's going to come in and he's got all these bright ideas, right? So he's going to have us stay after to have a meeting at 5 o'clock. At
right.
5 o'clock, everybody's going in the break room, going to sit down. He's going to talk to us and tell us about some things. Well, I'm standing back there with Tony, and he's going, "It's bull. We ought not have to stay here if we can't stay clocked in. He don't want us. He wants us to clock out and go to that meeting.
Yeah.
That ain't right. That ain't right." And he's just prodding me, right?
Pushing him.
And so, of course, I go up there and I go, "Hey, it ain't right. Y'all making us stay." And I'm just repeating everything that he's told me. And he said, "Well, do whatever you want to do." I said, "Well, I got to go over to Kannapolis. That girl that used to cut our hair."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "I'm going to go over to Kannapolis. I got a haircut. That's a long way drive. I'm going over there. I ain't going to miss it." He said, "You do everything you need to do." So I left and went and got my haircut. Well, Tony and everybody goes to the meeting.
We all go to the meeting.
wow.
Even though they could.
That's
I mean, Tony even comes to me. One
Yeah.
that's pushed him
Yeah.
to leave.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
comes to the meeting.
I come back the next day, and that guy, that service manager's like, "You needed to go home and think about whether you really like this job on it." So I went to the body shop down the hill,
Yep.
the one in the back, and I called Dad, and I said, "Hey, I'm getting sent home. You're going to turn me around and send me back." He
Yeah.
would.
Oh yeah.
He'd
He
see
did.
you and go, "What the hell are you doing here? Go back
Go
up
back to
there."
work.
Well, that's 45-minute drive.
Yep.
We ain't got, I'm making $150 a week maybe, and maybe not even that.
I don't
But
even think it was that.
no. So, anyways, I called Dad and I'm like, "Look, he's sending me home." He goes, "No, just go tell him you're staying. Tell him you're working or you ain't." And so I went up there and I said, "Hey, I'm working or I ain't." I didn't tell him I called Dad because that would have screwed things up or made things weird. And I said, "I'm working or I'm not." And he goes, "Well, get somebody to help you load up your toolbox." And so I loaded my toolbox up and I left. Well, I came back to get my check.
Yep.
My last check.
That's what it was.
That was the day
That
I
was
told
the
him about
day.
the letters.
Yeah, that was the day you told him about the letter. I just remember you walking him out with your arm around his shoulder, saying, 2 letters, buddy.
Yeah, he's an ass. He's gone.
He's got,
He was gone. You remember that guy when they hired that guy? Do you remember me taking his? They had a full page ad of him coming and becoming the service manager, and I cut his head out of the ad, and I put his head on the body of all these poses out of like a Rolling Stone magazine. Like I put his head on top of all kinds of people's bodies, like in weird,
It's funny, I don't remember that one.
Yeah. So like I'd take his head and put it on like an ad for like a jeans ad or something, and then copy it where it was all black and white and it looked almost real. And then I posted them and hung them all over the service department.
I don't know how I remember that. That's funny.
That's why he wanted to fire me, because I was effing with him so bad.
yeah, I'm shocked.
I'm
shocked that it didn't work out
Do
between
you
you
remember?
I wonder why.
Do you remember when I filled up the arms of your jacket? You were a mechanic.
Hell yeah.
He was a mechanic before he was a writer.
Yeah, I was a mechanic. I just changed oil and, just small stuff, belts and
So the glass,
alternators and stuff like that.
the
you know.
GM glass cleaner would foam up when you sprayed it, and I filled up the arms of his jacket full of that stuff. We went to put his jacket on to go to lunch. and all this stuff comes out the ends. We used to mess with each other all the time.
Well, I think we kind of like proving this point that you used to mess with me all the time. I don't remember messing with you, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't get in a
I
fight
didn't know
over
how,
it. We
I
just
didn't know,
laughed about
I
it.
didn't know how else to show
I was
my
mad about
affection
it, but
for
I
you.
was laughing about
I
it.
didn't know how else to show you I loved you, man.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, if y'all did get in a fight, it would be probably
We
validated.
never,
right? Y'all never
ever got
Never.
never put a hand on each
Nope,
other.
Never did.
that day
So-
if he'd have been home though.
If he would been home that day, I don't know what I'd have done.
Yeah.
I was mad. Like I was embarrassed and mad. So that was kind of like double whammy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
The cool thing is though, that girl's still with me today.
Yeah,
It's my wife.
Wait.
Renee.
That was Renee that you
Yep.
took over to the double wide?
Yep. Yep. When the door was locked, when not open, it was Renee.
Did you know that?
I don't remember.
He
I remember-
conveniently doesn't remember the things like that,
Yeah.
but he remembers the.
I remember her daughter would come over there.
Yeah, Blade.
And her
She was 3 years old.
and Carrie says, they're all in the living room and talking, and Carrie told me this later the day, and she's like, they're like, she was asking like, who's that boy in that room? Who's that boy in that room? And they're like, that's Dale, that's my brother. And she goes, his mouth not working.
His mouth not work. He didn't talk. I forgot about that.
That's funny. I'll never
Oh,
forget.
God,
It's
that's
weird
right.
what you remember.
Yeah.
Can I ask you this? Y'all mentioned you were going to run a Goodies Dash car. Like, how did this?
He
like,
ran that for a year.
Well,
Yeah,
how did
I
these
did that for a year.
these racing opportunities? You start running the late model. You start running
Well-
Goodies Dash car. How did these opportunities start?
The stuff that Dad had worked with and lined up for us. Richard Mash was well known in the Goodies Dash series, and his guy from Taylorsville had a lot of success in the league and the industry, and so he lined me up doing that. I don't know why he chose me going from daggone Concord Motor Speedway street stocks to running Goodies Dash at Daytona. That's a huge jump.
Yeah.
Big difference. Cars more power and more aerodynamic and all. And so I remember, like Dale said, we were up there and we looked at the cars and kind of looked things over and worked on a few things. And I would always go up there every evening after work and work on the race cars and then come back home and sleep, get up and go back to work the next day. I was still working at the dealership. And I remember we went to Daytona. It was the black number 3 Goodwrench Cavalier. It was a Chevrolet Cavalier that I raced in the Goodies Dash. And that was when they'd done the 2-day qualifying deals. And so the first day we went out to qualify. We'd been practicing all week, and then things got 13-gallon fuel tanks, So we've been practicing I'd say all week, probably 3 or 4 days, just qualifying runs. And we go through inspection and everything to go to qualify. And I'm like, Richard, so we need to get some fuel. So we had any fuel. So no, we're close on weight. So we try to go out as late as we can. All right, you know what you're doing. So we go out there to qualify. I go in out and off pit road and take off around. Get the green flag. come around, get the white flag, vroom. Going into turn one, run out of gas.
It's pretty embarrassing.
Very embarrassing.
On a qualifying lap.
On a qualifying lap. So you had to come in and you come down pit road. And I was worried about making it back to pit road because I'm going into turn one when I run out of gas. So we come all the way back to pit road, and you have to get out of your car, kneel in front of your car to be pretty and take a picture. And, of course, it's hard to be pretty when you're pissed off. So I do all that. Well, anyway, we go back second day qualifying. I qualified fast the second day, which would have been on the pole the first day.
Oh.
If we hadn't run out of gas.
Yeah. I remember being there with Kerry the whole week.
And so
then when that happened-
you actually spotted for me during the race in the beginning of the race.
Why'd I quit?
Well, I come up on this one car and I asked for clear, and you never did answer. And then next thing I know, Dad's talking to me on the radio.
Oh, he must have grabbed it off my
I
head.
must have. So he spotted for me after that.
I remember when we were.
I ended up spinning out because I didn't know if I was clear. And I was coming up on this car pretty fast, and I didn't want to hit it, so I ended up spinning out. And of course, put me back. I think we ended up finishing seventh for that race.
Yeah.
So
it's a good start. It's
Yep.
fun, man.
It was fun.
I went down there with Kerry. I remember pushing that car around in the garage and just being a helper. And
And I mean, I'm carrying the black and silver color
Yeah.
Goodrich car, number
it's
3.
great, yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it's like dream come
how
true.
cool was
Yeah,
this?
It was.
It was badass.
It was.
You run out of gas on the
Isn't that right?
qualifying
Yes.
lap. Wow.
Yep.
And I remember that guy, Tony Reed, you talking about. He made me a little trophy.
Is that who made that?
It has a block of wood, painted black, and put a gas gauge on it. Well, he made a gas gauge out of the bottom of a soda can with a gauge on it, and it was on empty. And it says, what is it, dumbass award or something
Yeah.
like that. And that's what they give me.
That's why you can go back to work.
Yeah.
Get to
Go
do
back
this
to work
shit.
and get that. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So let's skip. So you worked at the dealership for how long?
Oh, Lord. Well, till 99.
Yeah.
Till 1999. Actually, in 98, I'd started talking to a guy named Doug Taylor with the channel light car, number 40, and Kevin LePage was driving. And so I started going over and hanging out. He came to the to the dealership and got service done also. He invited me to the race shop, so I started going over to the race shop and hanging out there in Denver, and just kind of tinkering with the cars. And Kevin LePage is in there, and we talked a little bit here and there. And then one day, Kevin was out there, and Doug come out there talking, and Doug Taylor, I don't know how long he'd been in the sport, but he owned the Bush car and everything. So he says, Doug, he said, you need to give this kid a ride, give him a chance. And I was like, what? He said, yeah, I think you need a chance. I think we could do something. So we go and Hickory Motor Speedway and practice. And Kevin goes out and he's practicing, and then when he gets done practicing, he's gonna let me take the car a couple laps. So he gets done practicing, I jump in and kind of take the car a couple laps, and I'm not far off from where he's running, speed wise, in times. So in 99, it was 98 when we was working, doing that stuff. And in 99 is when I ran my first race in the Bush Series. It was at Hickory Motor Speedway. And we qualified 13th, and that was in Chadlock, number 40 car. And we was up to 5th, and the axle broke in that race. So everybody was all pumped, doing pretty good. Kevin was actually moving on from that team to another, so he was kind of grooming me to be in that seat. So in 2000, I started racing full-time. I raced a few more races after that Hickory race, but in 2000, I started racing full-time in that car, and things didn't go well. Doug actually sold the team out to a guy. He was in the Tennessee walking horses. I think he was up in Florida or somewhere. I can't remember his name, but he was kind of a business guy, wasn't really a racer. So he come in there and, he changed a lot of things up and didn't go well. And crew members he got rid of and hired new, just didn't know a lot about racing, really. So we ended up not running too good, and things kind of just dispersed from there. I, quit driving for them and everything. And I remember going to Dad and talking to him about my experience and how things happened and, how crappy it was that things happen like that. And I looked at him and said, man, how about me getting an opportunity to drive for you? Go-kart, lawnmower, whatever. I mean, I just want to drive something just fun. And so he said, let me think about it. And we talked about it and started working things out. And that's when we put together the ARCA team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we started running, some races. We didn't run the full season. I think it's 10 races in ARCA. I won 8 of the 10 races in Talladega, and Daytona's the 2 I didn't win. We went Pocono, Atlanta, Charlotte, Michigan. I remember going to Pocono the first time, and you had downshift. I'm like, holy crap, what's this going to be?
Yeah.
So we ended up having a good time, and I don't know, you wasn't at that test. And we had a good time, and Tony Sr. was there with us and everything. And we were pretty fast. So we went for the race, and we lapped everybody but second place, and I could see him in front of me by the end of the race. And that was a good time.
So you win I got one of the bodies off of one of your cars.
Yep.
So you, in the junkyard. When you get out, what was your favorite victory lane celebration from that time,
It's going to be Pocono.
and why?
When I got out and Dad's standing there waiting on me.
Yeah.
And there's many pictures of me standing on the door of that car reaching down to Dad and him just looking up with the biggest grin that just made my world. You know, the happiness I seen in his face and how proud he was. It was really cool.
And so you moved on from that and had,
Yep.
you raced a lot of different teams over the years.
Well, from there, we had put the schedule together with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated to run full-time bush, some trucks, and looking at practicing stuff in Cup, just, to get the feel of it, not race any. And, of course, things happened in 01. That's what we was going into in 01,
Oh.
that racing with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. And still had some market races in there, too. And then things happened in 01, and so the evening of that day that things happened, Ty Norris calls me and says, hey, so I just need to call and let you know that your racing schedule is no longer going to happen.
Wait, that night?
And, I'd ran the ARCA race there in Daytona that weekend. On Friday, we raced on Friday, and I come home. No, we raced on Saturday, and then I come home. I drove all the way back. No, it's Friday because I drove all the way back. And Saturday, I kind of rested up, and Sunday, I was out mowing the yard and everything, and my wife comes running down. Hey, have you talked to Kelly? I'm like, no, I'm mowing the yard, so you need to call her. And I call Kelly, and she's bawling and tells me what all happened. So anyway, the story went, I got the call from Ty that things wasn't going to happen
That night?
that night.
What the hell? That's a hell of a night to call and
I
tell
mean,
you that.
that someone's thinking of nixing that program. He got the orders to call. He didn't do it on his own. So anyway, that Monday, we go into the race shop there, and, things are the way they are, and me and Ty sit there and talk, and he says, I'm working on some stuff. I've already, made some calls, and we're working on putting some stuff together. And that's when the Armando Fitz and Terry Bradshaw team come about with the number 12 car in the Busch Series. So he got me set up, and I ran that series. And that went for a couple of years, and I just kind of bounced back and forth with RCR and just some other teams just here and there. It just never fit. RCR was pretty good, but
Do you remember racing together at Talladega?
yes, in the Cup race,
That's pretty fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
in the Big Bass Pro car.
Yeah. We got to draft a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it was me bumping you and knocking the back bump loose, and you going to the front, and me end up like fifth, I think I was.
Well,
And then next thing I know, I'm spinning around after somebody hits me.
It was fun for a moment.
Fun though. Yeah, we had a good car. I mean, it was fast, and we was up front there and running. I mean, I ran in fifth for a while, and then I think it was Jeff Gordon, Michael Waltrip. Michael got into Jeff and turned him, and he come down and hit me.
You ended up over at DEI working for a while.
Yep.
What was you doing there?
This was after the racing
Yeah.
stuff. After I retired from racing, Teresa had called, talked to me about coming over there and just working, being whatever, kind of the messenger in between and filling the employees out what might need and just delivering the news or message to, at the time, I can't remember who it was, Richie Gilmore.
Yeah.
Richie Gilmore kind of run.
He was GM.
The GM. So I, would relay messages to him about what employees would like to see to improve the place and all and stuff like that. And I think that was the time. I felt like that was time. It was an easy route to get me out of racing. which is good. I mean, I was ready to step out anyway because, I missed my boys growing up, and I had 2 daughters coming up, and I didn't want to miss all that. So, I'd cut back races to like 6 races a year, and I run 2 with Childers, and then a couple bush races here and there with sort of like Rick Ware Racing or somebody. And so anyway, I went to work full time at DEI, and then things kind of started dwindling down from there. Selling this team or merging with this team and doing this, and everything kind of just going away from Highway 3. Yeah. And after that, it wasn't no job there for me. So, and at that time, I had another opportunity that came in my life with Schumacher Homes with me and my wife. So it was easy time to get out of racing and get into designing homes of all things.
So what is that, Schumacher Homes?
Schumacher Homes is the nation's largest custom home builders. They're in 14 states and 34 markets. They're based in Akron, Canton, Ohio. And Paul Schumacher is the founder of Schumacher Homes, and it's a very, very good business. They're more family-oriented. They're about customers. Whenever we went in to talk to them about doing their thing, they were actually looking for someone in the outdoor lifestyle that, to bring in the outdoor lifestyle living to their homes. And they were looking at a very prominent guy, Michael Waddell, who was in the outdoor industry. And I had an associate that Schumacher's knew that mentioned that they ought to talk to me and my wife, Renee. And so we met with them, and Joe Hedrick, he was over at DEI doing all the stuff with Dad and everything. And so anyway, he got let go, so we kind of took him over to help do our stuff. And we all 3 flew up there, met with the Schumachers. They had all their books open, accounting and everything for us to look at, didn't hide nothing. Give us several customers to call if we wanted to call. And, I mean, they even give us one guy that wasn't even happy with their build process, and kind of find out he was a contractor himself, so he was going to nitpick everything anyway.
Yeah.
So it was just a good fit, and we've been with them going on 10 years now.
And y'all still do these Earnhardt collections?
It's Earnhardt Collection Homes.
Yeah, and they're just designs, and how many do you have in the Earnhardt collection?
We were up to 23, and down to 20 now.
Wow.
There's 2 of them we kind of phased out, just kind of didn't fit good. Gotcha. One of them we got a lawsuit against from, I don't remember if it's Southern Living magazine or something. They said it looked like their home, but it didn't. It just had a fireplace on the front porch like one of theirs did.
Oh, okay.
And the rest of it didn't even look the same. So, but we just took it off just to keep from having issues.
Sure.
And so, we've been doing that for, like I say, going on 10 years now, and it's been a great partnership and good family to be around.
Can we talk about the battle to be able to use that?
We can.
All right.
I mean, it's public knowledge. I don't know why we can't.
I didn't know if you...
So during that time, at the time of me...
Where's that at?
At the time of me going away from Dale Earnhardt Incorporated is the time we started talking to the Schumacher Homes. And when we got talking to them, we talked about, naming it Earnhardt Collection. And we done that because we wanted to open it up to more than just homes, like maybe furniture or little knickknacks or something down the road. So we do that, and we go to Trade Market, and we get a phone call, or we get a letter in the mail from the lawyers, and it's Teresa's lawyers, saying if we continue using this name, there'd be a lawsuit. So my wife, being the strong-willed person she is, she says, fine, you want a lawsuit, let's go. So we continued on and done our business with Schumacher Homes, and we called them and told them what all was happening and give them a heads up just so they'll know. And so, long story short, 8 years later in this lawsuit, we won the lawsuit, and she appealed it, so it had to go to Washington or wherever it went. And they questioned why the board that decided we win, they questioned why they come up with that, and they basically told them, it was my name. So anyway, she started out with the confusion of Dale Earnhardt and Earnhardt Collection being confused. Well, some of her key people who've done depositions even stated that it wasn't a confusion. So then she went back to, you can't trademark a surname, the Earnhardt name. And so that's where it went, and it ended up being that neither one of us won, but we continue on to do what we want to do, and we can still do anything Earnhardt Outdoors.
Yeah.
I got it, and I got it trademarked.
Why is that not a win for you? It sounds
It's a win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a win for.
I mean, you're able to.
me, Dale Jr., Kelly, Taylor, any of us. So, and the key thing is she can't trademark it either. Teresa can't now, because she's shown that it can't be trademarked.
She can't trademark the Earnhardt name.
So is the
Because it's a surname. You can't
Can't
trademark
trademark her surname.
so is all the legal back and forth over?
it. Yep, the legal back and forth's over.
Yeah, you can move on.
8 years later, but finally over.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
didn't know.
we continued on, and now we're doing stuff at Earnhardt Outdoors, and trying to build that brand now.
Yeah. So I went the other day to what's the name of it, Mike?
I don't know what
the
you're
beer.
Oh, the Old
Old
Armory.
Old Armor Beer Company.
Yeah.
Old Armor
Beer
Company,
In
downtown
Kannapolis.
Kannapolis, right next to the ballpark, where the Cannonballers played.
The Cannonballers, and that's where I grew up.
That's
that
where you
was
grew
my
up. That's your
hometown. I cruised that area every weekend, and rode bicycles up there sometimes.
So you are now in the beer business.
Well, I don't know if I'm in the beer business, but
Your name's on
I
beer,
mean,
buddy. You're in the beer business. You're working with these guys.
yeah, we have created a beer. It all started out the dad of one of the owners has been a friend of mine for years, and he called me up and said, "Hey, my boys have got this brewery they work with, and they're about giving back to charities. I want to know if I had a charity to get back to." I said, "Well, I don't, but I do work with a group. It's from 4 years old to 18-year-old rodeo association." And then we got the high school association also that they do scholarship funds. So I said, well, maybe we take this and do a scholarship fund for the high school. So we met, talked about that, and it ended up growing into creating our own beer. And so now we have.
There it is. Oh, he's got it cold.
We got some cold ones, man.
Yeah, let's have one.
Well, hey, Shane. I even got a spare.
I haven't drank it out of the can yet.
Yeah, it's different than on tap, just like all of them. So it's sort of like a in between a Bud Light and a Pilsner.
I like that.
Beer.
Yeah.
That's good.
That is good.
I thought it was kind of refreshing and something you can hang out by the campfire.
A cold
Drink,
beer, man. And then
Or
why have we not been doing this?
man, that'd
all
be
along?
great on a fishing or hunting trip too.
Yeah. It's
But-
cool.
Anyway, so that's what we've created. Earnhardt Outdoors with a venture with an attitude. It's a Kannapolis ale.
And you can only get this at Old Armor.
Old Armor Brewery in Kannapolis, downtown Kannapolis.
Beautiful place.
It's awesome.
I was a little.
And
bit,
actually Thursday, for the folks that are going to hear this before Thursday, we have at 5 o'clock, we're going to do a public release announcement. And I'm going to be there. We're going to have some media there, people, and
this coming Thursday.
this coming Thursday.
time?
So that'd be the 27th
Yep.
at 5 o'clock
5 o'clock,
in downtown Kannapolis.
downtown Kannapolis.
Man.
So anybody come out and join us, hang out.
Yeah, they'll be there.
Even you and Amy come on. You and bring your certificates.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm looking on social media the other day and find out all you family are out there at Old Armor. Yeah, my significance. Like, so, what was this event that y'all did the other day at Old Armor? I mean, because I'm seeing. Dale, I was at the ball game the night before.
This goes away. So that was a friends and family event, and so
Yeah, my friends and family.
I think I qualified in the first one, don't I?
well, we go way back. I will say that.
we
But
go back well before Dale Jr.
I know.
And I do.
I know. I remember one time you needed fuel money on the flight home. So anyway,
That's right.
so that was a limited seating event. So I got all the people that, well, not that you're not important, but
It's
that
okay.
I felt
You don't have to.
that needed to be there.
You don't feel like.
But the reason
you
I
don't
did
need to
that,
feel bad
because
about
look,
it.
I know this coming Thursday you can be there.
All right,
I
so
mean,
Thursday,
everybody is welcome,
That's good.
and we can have that place packed out and fill up some streets and stuff. I don't care.
That's good, man. That's a great place to drink a beer.
It's
too.
it's a cool little place, and like I said, them guys it's a veteran owned company, and because whenever we first started, I talk about maybe investing in and being part of it, and I'm not a veteran, so I can't. So Kyle is the co-founder and general manager, and then Stefan, which has got the biggest beard and really cool guy, he's the co-founder and the master brewery.
Pretty awesome. So pumped about that, man.
Yeah, I'm excited, and looking forward to Thursday and having a good time.
Yeah. Everybody needs
Everybody,
to get out there.
come on out.
Come on out and celebrate. Well, buddy,
But, so
it's been a
it's
good
been fun.
conversation. Yeah, it's been a good one.
We got beer now.
We
We're just
missed
gonna
a
start
lot.
drinking.
I mean, I'm done talking, but
We missed
That was
so
just-
much stuff. So one time, Kerry,
there is some stuff we could go back and talk
one
about.
time, Kerry, we were cruising downtown Concord with
Yeah.
our pickups, and Kerry, there was a little. We were parked
in McDonald's.
at the McDonald's, and I parked on one side of the parking lot, and he parked on the other side, and in between us is a walkway.
Cement walkway,
It's
probably 4 or
raised
5
about
inches.
4 or 5 inches.
And you had your S10.
I had an S10, you had one.
I had.
You backed into my truck.
I wasn't in the S10, was I? I was in the
Yes,
truck.
you're in a red S10.
Was I in the red S10?
He
So,
puts his car in reverse
well, I can't remember what triggered that. You did
and
something.
knocked the grill out of my truck.
And so I put it in reverse and back because I was straight driving. He was automatic.
We were horsing around.
And I backed over that median walkway and rammed him.
Yeah, see, he's
And
done
then I
some
put
bad
it-
stuff to me.
And then I put it in first gear, and that is one thing I did. I put it in first gear and took off. Well, as I'm doing that, I look at everybody in McDonald's, and their face is just like, like, what happened?
My grill's in like 15 pieces.
He gets out. As I'm driving off, I see him getting out to walk around. I'm gone.
That definitely goes on the scorecard.
We had to go to the junkyard and get a
Yep.
grill.
Got another grill.
We got one.
Boy, that junkyard was an important piece of y'all's history. I mean,
Oh,
for
man,
real.
it's right down the road. It's so easy.
I mean, seriously,
I
you
mean,
could go
3
get
miles
those-
down the
Yeah.
road.
Me and Kerry would burn out the bearings, and we would bend A-frames and stuff, and we needed springs. Like, we finally figured out, okay, we need a bigger right front spring.
Yep.
Me and Kerry would drive our truck into the depths of that junkyard in the middle of the summer
Just
and
scorching heat.
crawl underneath these 1980 Cadillacs and Chevrolets in the middle of the dirt. No clue what no shoulders were crawling around out
Didn't
there.
bother us then, though.
And we didn't care.
Right, it had to
care.
be crawling with it.
Yes. It was. I think about it today, and I'm like, I
I mean, looking back, it was like the time of our life.
we were having a blast.
It was fun.
Well, we were in there every week trying to get a part
Yep.
because we'd broke something.
And I
crashed
think we
something.
actually just, if we didn't need something, we act like we did and just to go there
Yeah.
and crawl around stuff,
Yeah.
check all the cars out.
So, this is funny. You'll like this. So, we're riding. I might have told this last week, but we were riding to Darlington to take the Nova.
Yep.
And I had Uncle Robert Jr. in the car, and he's telling all these great stories, right? And every story he tells about Dad is, oh, your dad was this awesome thing. We did this together, and it was amazing, and he was awesome, and he was great, and he was tough, and he was this, and he was that, right? And never done anything wrong. And when Uncle Jimmy tells the stories about Dad, he says that Dad would go to the junkyard for a $3 part and look around at all the other stuff that he was going to come back and get later in the middle of the night.
I believe that. Yep.
That's the side
I heard that story.
Yeah.
One time, we have a gathering every year up in Pennsylvania with the LW. You may have been there one time, maybe not, but it's me and Robert and Jimmy and Seth, and we got sitting at the table and Robert's telling these stories and Jimmy was telling that story. I remember him talking about that. So you hear some good times.
I'm just trying to imagine Dad breaking into the junkyard in the middle of the night.
Hey, was he sort of like? You're gonna get upset with me saying this. I always appreciate the fact that you're sort of cheap, right? Like you're sort of cheap. You don't ever carry any money around with you. Was your dad that way? Was he sort of like thrifty and
pretty tight.
tight with his cash?
Pretty
yeah,
tight.
he was. Yep.
I mean, if he's crawling around a
I
junkyard,
remember one
guess
time
he
we went to
is.
McDonald's, I had to buy with Dad.
You had to buy.
I bought. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, not McDonald's, Whataburger.
He never
It was
carried
Whataburger.
cash, Charles.
Nope.
He never carried
Never
cash.
had cash.
Yeah.
And I remember, we went on an elk hunt one time.
Me and you.
Me and you
I
got his first elk.
My only elk hunt.
Only elk. He didn't have no money on him for a tip or anything
I
either.
didn't either. Oh, I didn't
no.
know he was going to tip.
I mean,
No, he
Jeez.
doesn't.
Dude,
He
you
doesn't.
invited me on the elk
I know,
hunt.
I
You
know.
should have told me this.
I thought I did, but I ended up tipping him for
He's
you
like,
anyway.
yeah, Carrie's like, you got a tip money? I'm like, what? Tip money?
He doesn't carry any money.
Hell,
And that guy was so pissed off because you had left and you gave him a pair of sunglasses. I don't know if you remember that. And all I got is a pair of sunglasses out of this hunt. Well, cheap, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, man, relax. Chill out. So when I got done, I tipped my guy and your
Yeah.
guy.
I gotta be honest, Kerry. I don't know where taking Dale Jr. on an elk hunt. He just didn't. He doesn't seem very elk hunty,
Dude. It took me.
He's gonna be. He's not gonna enjoy it.
How many years I try? I mean, I try to get him to go on several elk hunts, and
I thought you meant how many years did you try before you got your first elk?
Oh, how many years I tried.
I got
before
mine.
my first.
Mine
Shut up!
I got mine in the first 2 hours.
Let me rub it in.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first 2 hours.
Yes, it
No, it
was.
wasn't.
The first morning, it
It was first morning. I'll give you that.
was like 9 in the morning. It was early.
How did that happen?
I'm good.
It was the first hunt. Put it that way. And it was with the bow. That was really cool.
I know.
So,
What?
yeah, with the bow.
Oh yeah.
So I've been trying to get him several years to do this elk hunt.
That's hard.
And he's like, man, I can't. Truex has talked about how you got to run up these hills and huff and puff and out of there. And finally, I'm like, man, I've got this nice place in Colorado we're going to. He says, you need to come. All right, I'll do it. I said, huh? So I called my connection and said, hey, he said, we're going to do this. Dale wants to do it. He said, well, I got to tell you, thing runs on generator and it cuts off at 9 o'clock at night. I said, oh. He said, there ain't no internet service, no nothing, cell phone service, nothing up there. So I'm like, oh. So I called Dale back and said, hey, man, I don't know if you'd really want to do this hunt. And he said, why? I said, well, there's no internet, no cell phone, and power cuts off at 9 o'clock off the generator. What's wrong with that? Oh, hell yes. So we get there,
Is there beer?
The first night we get there, we're out there hanging by the campfire and everything. He goes in the house. And it's just getting dark, and the bulls start bugling. So I run in and say, hey, Dale, if we get in the room. So I go in the room, and he's in bed. It's like 8 o'clock, 8:30. I said, man, bulls are bugling. Come on, listen. He said, man, I'm getting up early. I'm going to bed. So I had never known him to go to bed that early. And he was
Lack
pumped
of
about
oxygen up there.
I bet.
So we get out the first morning, we go, and we get on this pack, and we got 2 bulls in it and a bunch of cows. And we're on this road bed, getting up to the meadow where they're at, and one of the cows busted us. Gone. Dale Jr.'s like, man, that was cool. What do we do now? So we can find more. So we go up on this big hill and looking down, just glassing, looking for them. And we see these 2 down in the bottom in this little opening, small clearing, just 2 bulls, no cows. And I'm like, I told the guys, man, that's going to be some easy ones there. I said, you want to get one of them, Dale? He's like, heck yeah. So he gets up like he's going to take us. Get in the truck. We're going to drive to them.
Yeah.
So we drove down and got out of the truck, and before, don't get right up on them, but you get out of the truck and go up above them, up on the hill. They're going up. And he gets up in there, him and the cameraman. I didn't go with them. But him and the cameraman, they go up in there and get set up, and the guide. And the guide calls, and that bull comes up, the biggest one. And, I mean, he's 25 yards from you when you shot. Mm-hmm. And then after you shot, he run right by you, like up the hill right by him.
That'd be terrifying.
He was out in front of me in this little clearing, and when I shot him, he ran right past me, probably about 10 yards that way, straight up this hill and stopped. Laid down. And we walked up there, we quartered him right there.
Yep.
On the hill.
Well, yeah.
And carried him out.
Carried him out.
So like at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm walking out with like 150 pounds or 100 pounds of elk
horns
on my back.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was
like
neat. When I got down there,
badass.
just the expression on his face, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Just to hear him tell the story,
It was everything you said.
It was
gonna
fun.
be.
But you ain't done it again.
I ain't been asked.
Yeah, I have.
I don't think so.
I did. That's if you're gonna get back. Oh, good. Got his one and done.
One and done.
I'm a deer hunter.
I'd go back.
I'm a deer hunter.
I like deer hunt.
Yeah.
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 But it was cool. He got one with the bow, and I tried. He left the next day.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, you gonna jump on a plane and leave? He says, no. So we're gonna hang out by the fire and drink beer. All right, so we did. We drank beer that night, hung out, talked, done our little stories on the interviews and for the cameras and stuff. Next morning, he gets up and leaves, and I'm chasing elk for the next 3 days, and finally ended up using my guide's rifle to try to get one. I never did get one.
Damn. Tough hunt.
So,
Tough fun for you.
I didn't know it went.
But
that,
I was chasing.
I didn't know it went so disappointing.
But I done had 2, so I was looking to get bigger than what I got on the wall. If it was my first one, I was going to shoot whatever was there. I had plenty to shoot
That's
at.
what I tell them every time.
So,
I didn't get no deer this year. It was a big one. It's not as big as I wanted.
Whatever.
You out of control
A shooter came by, but I let it go.
You're out of control. Oh man,
Like I said,
we got to wrap.
he don't understand hunting that well.
We're
All right, Kerry.
All right, well, I appreciate y'all having me on, man. This has been fun, and
We got to get you back
we
in
got a lot
here.
more stories we can talk about.
Yes, we do. Some good
I
stories.
mean, we can get into some depth, like emotional stories too.
Yeah,
You know,
we should. We should have an emotional podcast
Yeah.
next time.